Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Myth. So today we're going to continue the series, the Unported Playlist Hall of Fame, where I take a look at some of my favorite arcade games of all time, games that I've talked about previously on the channel, and you know full well, if I can find another reason to talk about Thrill Drive, I am going to do it, because I have been playing this game so often since I got an arcade board, and since this worked in MAME, and honestly I will now say that this is my favorite all-time arcade racing game. It beats things like Scud Race and Daytona 2 as far as my enjoyment are concerned. I'm not trying to say it is better than those games, I'm just saying that it's better than those games for me. Before I get too far involved, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. Now I am still in process of fixing my original NWKTR Thrill Drive arcade board. I'm still trying to reverse engineer the security checks on it because it seems like it's a variant version that is not yet dumped in MAME, so I am trying to basically reverse engineer the entire security scheme. The best part is now on any current version of MAME, you can play this game all day long, and this was not the case for the longest time. Thrill Drive was an original arcade PCB or you never got a chance to play the game. So this is your one reminder in the video. If you've never played Thrill Drive before, you absolutely, after I am done here, have to go play it. It is just one of the best arcade games of all time. If you can't tell already, it's a very simple concept. It is a racing game, but it does everything in a racing genre that I love out of the actual genre in and of itself. It is a checkpoint system. You start at one place and you run until you hit the finish line. There are no laps. The entire hook in Thrill Drive is if you race clean and you don't crash, you will get to the checkered flag and you may even win. There is so much traffic to navigate around, so many obstacles, and every single crash is going to lose you both time as well as show a fatality up on screen, which can actually be quite gruesome. Your 3D model will ragdoll out of the windshield, basically putting their entire head through that and dragging it across the ground if you crash just the right way. But this is just intensity defined. This is my favorite type of video to make. I don't have to edit anything. I'm going to show you this entire race from start to finish without any cuts because every single second is intense arcade racing action of the highest order. You pair that together with a very good driving handling system and you have an absolute winner here. You will see that you can bump up against some of the smaller cars without getting an accident, but if you even so much as touch that tractor trailer, you are going to flip your car, and you will see there we took a first fatality. And the minute you crash, the music is going to get ominous, the sky is going to get dark, and if you crash enough, you're going to see lightning and a tornado come into the background as well. That's the name of the game here. Getting first place is just half the battle. Trying to get first place with a clean finish, not ever once crashing, is where the complexity in this game comes from. Because at the end of every single race, you're going to be graded on how your driving performance was, and the only way you're going to get up onto the leaderboard for the good side of things is to run a clean race. But there's also a bad leaderboard. The people that have the most fatalities or cause the most amount of damage financially, so there's two different ways to hit the high score here, but those two ways are just an absolute metric crap ton of fun. Every single time I turn on Thrill Drive, I think I'm going to play for 10 or 15 minutes, and then suddenly I've been playing this game for multiple hours, and I've been having fun the entire time, with a gigantic grin plastered across my face if I could look at myself in a mirror. And that's all I need out of an arcade racing game. I just need pure intense fun from start to finish, and Thrill Drive absolutely provides that to me. All three courses are excellently designed. There's going to be highways, there's going to be on-ramps, there's going to be these smaller traffic sections here. You're going to drift around corners, you're going to try to do everything you can to avoid a traffic accident, because the minute you have that accident, not only are you losing time on your clock, but you're also losing places. It's just you and 3 other drivers, and you'll see there I went from second to fourth very quickly, and that's the fun part here. It's the risk versus reward. If you navigate in and out of traffic, weaving around and drive a clean line, you're going to get first place, but the fastest line is always going to be through traffic. Going around it's a disaster, and the music when you have a crash is absolutely ominous. Go ahead and listen for 45 seconds and I'll be right back with more game. The music just drives home the intensity and the fact that we're definitely on our third life here because we have died twice. And as we come right up to the finish line, you'll see here I am neck and neck with first place. And if you drive through this traffic here, your AI opponent's going to just push out of the way ever so slightly. We can bump and run and just get around them for that first place finish. But all 4 cars finish within basically half a second of each other, so getting a win in this game really does make a difference. You love it when you get it, and you'll see there are a little bit of a result score for our driving style. But moving on to the USA course, this is probably the easiest of the 3 in the game. You have Japan, Europe, and USA, and that would be a theme across the entire Thrill Drive franchise, because I do have the original arcade boards for Thrill Drive 2, and Thrill Drive 3, and you always get these 3 different continents up on the screen for level selection. So definitely check all of them out, they're all worth it. And this is just, again, where the fun comes in. I love how this game handles, and I love the vehicle selection as well. You're not just getting race cars, we're driving around a Volvo wagon right here, the type your mom used to put groceries in, the old grocery getter wagon, and I just love this car. I always have, and one day in my life, I am going to purchase a 90s Volvo wagon just so I can have fun with it. Maybe I'll switch the engine out and make it a sleeper, but I've always loved this car design, so that is another reason why I love Thrill Drive. It just gives me that classic grocery getter. And as we get onto the highway here in California, all of the semis, all of the cars weaving in and out, it is just incredibly fun. And honestly, the fastest racing line is going to be on the other side of the highway at spots when you're actually driving opposed to traffic. And the best part is if you go into the cockpit view, all that intensity just sells itself even more. This is amazing. When you kind of skirt through traffic, you thread the needle between 2 vehicles, or a vehicle and an RV, or an 18-wheeler, it just gets crazy. If you can't tell already, we also have the police on our tail. If you go by a police car in this game, they're going to chase you, they're going to knock you around, and they're going to try to have you have an accident just to slow you down. So there's all that extra component in here. You need to drive a clean line, you need to try to bump and run on your opponents, you need to avoid the police, and when they do get on your tail, you need to basically outrun them because they are aggressive as hell. They will basically try to do a pit maneuver on you, throwing you into a wall or another vehicle. But when that's happening, your heart starts racing and you're just having an incredible time. Just sideswiping that RV there, but not actually causing the accident. When that happens, you're just so happy. And then when you get pushed into a drift by another vehicle and you end up having that accident, you know if you would just play that racing line a little bit cleaner, you could have gotten past that area. So that is again the fun here in Thrill Drive. It's not just finishing a race, it's not just getting first place, it's trying to get first place without ever having an accident so you have that perfect finish. And trust me, it is quite difficult. The best part is you can 100% learn this game. Just keep playing it, just keep practicing it, get used to one vehicle and your controls, learn the courses, and before you know it, it is going to become a possibility. And when you finally get that first place finish without any accidents like you see there, you're going to love it. And I do love all of the graphics. When you have the accident, that woman comes up screaming and she apparently just died on camera in front of you. This game pulls no punches in trying to sell those fatalities, and as the series goes on, they will definitely tame it up a little bit. The first entry goes the hardest in that overall traffic fatality accident vibe, and it kind of scales back from there. The other thing I love about this game is just the overall graphical aesthetic. This is running on a PowerPC chipset as well as a dual 3DFX board, and that's why in emulation you don't see the actual rearview mirror because that would render on the second GPU board as an exclusive viewport, and that's why I definitely want to get my Thrill Drive board patched up at some point in time. Honestly, the rearview mirror is just kind of an ornament. You don't really use it that much during racing, but it can be helpful. But you have the drift mechanic, and you also have an emergency brake that you can pull if you really want to whip it around some tight corners. Because these tracks get harder as they go on, every single track starts with an open raceway, and then it's going to get a little bit windier towards the end until you're basically taking 90-degree turns around traffic in more of a residential or commercial area versus running on the highway. And that is why, again, this game is just so fun. Every single course has multiple themes, multiple areas, and it just makes you want to get good because you'll see here it's telling you you're coming up on a tight turn, so you need to practice those ahead of time, and you do need to watch out for some of the indications. You're also going to see cross traffic coming towards you, as well as sometimes even trains that you either need to be fast enough to beat or you need to throw that emergency brake on so you don't just run right into it. I was slightly late there and I ended up crashing. I went from second place to third place, and I'm not going to be able to recover cover, but it's still a fun time. But have a sample of the soundtrack before the accident happens, because the music in this game is quite good, and the better you are at racing and the less accidents you have, the more of it you get to hear. And I'll come back and talk about the Europe course, but enjoy, because Konami always made some great music. I love the music, and I love that we're in Europe, so you do get that roundabout, and if you cut it the other way, I did make a mistake there, and you run that drift just clean, you can cut off a good second to a second and a half of actual course there, giving you a really strong advantage. But trust me, use the cockpit view, at least on the highway here. It is so incredibly fun just to see all these cars blow by you, because I will say graphically, this game sells the sensation of speed so well. As you see those vehicles coming up, you see the cars next to you, it really does feel like you're going fast, even though you can see on the speedometer here, we're not even clocked at 100 miles an hour yet. And I love that they have this little compact car in here as well. Now, I haven't shown you in the video, but be aware there's also a full city bus that you can race as. Not the most exciting mode, but honestly it's fun because you can definitely plow it around and knock a lot of things out of the way. But when I call a game perfect, I don't mean that it's technically perfect. I'm sure there's some flaws in here somewhere that I just overlook because I love the game so much. But getting through all of those 18-wheelers there, I am just happy playing this game. It delivers absolutely everything I need without any extras. This is all meat, no filler, and it makes this for such a fun experience, even if I did just kind of squeak out that crash right there. I thought I had enough room against the wall to get around it, and that is the fun of Thrill Drive. You're always calculating the risk you want to take to try to get a checkered flag. Sometimes it's going to 100% pay off for you, and sometimes it's going to absolutely end in a disaster. I would say that the Europe course is the hardest you're going to see in just a bit, because we're going to get definitely into a rural area here as we get off the highway, almost doing some Dukes of Hazzard style off-roading in just a moment. But that's the other great thing about Thrill Drive. For only having 3 courses, they are extremely varied, extremely different, and they're all going to give you their own challenges, because here we're really getting to those back roads of what seems to be rural London, and as we get through here, we're basically on dirt track, and you really got to use that e-brake and throw the car around. Now this is definitely going to be something that's a lot better with a steering wheel, but you can totally get away with this on an analog controller. And if you are trying to emulate it and you find that you can't select the other tracks, you can only use USA, just pop into the test menu and calibrate your steering wheel or your analog stick, then you'll be able to actually select those tracks. There's a little bit of a pseudo bug in here just when you first start the game, but as we came around that corner, one more fatality, and that is the fun of Thrill Drive. Every single course is different. The sensation of speed is there. It is action-packed, edge-of-your-seat arcade racing of the highest order. It is one of my favorite games in my favorite genre of all time, and for me, this could do nothing wrong. I can't think of a single way to improve this except maybe give me a 4th track, so I have more of a good thing. And the best part is there's 2 other games in this series, Thrill Drive 2 and Thrill Drive 3, which actually runs on arcade PlayStation 2 hardware. The original Thrill Drive obviously emulates, that's how I'm playing it now, and Thrill Drive 3 I uploaded myself to make sure everyone can enjoy it with full directions, and my Discord has a help channel because it is a little complicated to set up. Unfortunately, Thrill Drive 3 being on the Konami Viper, that game does not currently emulate. You need to have real hardware, and I just eked out not having a fatality crash there. But trust me on this one, if you've never played Thrill Drive before, just load it up in MAME and give it a shot. You stand to lose absolutely nothing, and at the top end you stand to find out that Konami made one of the best arcade racing games of all time in my opinion, and for me personally, my favorite arcade game of all time. When I play Thrill Drive, I play it from start to finish every single time. It doesn't matter how many times I've played this game, it is always fun, it is always fresh, and I always absolutely love it. But short of that, this is the last episode of 2024's Unported Playlist Hall of Fame, and I saved my absolute favorite arcade game for last. Thrill Drive is a perfect game, it can do no wrong, and I will be playing this for decades to come. Short of that, we are done. I took another checkered flag, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.